So, good evening, everyone. Lindsay Call with Santa Monica OEM. Welcome to tonight's town hall related to wildfire recovery and specific to City of Santa Monica. Thank you for joining us. We do have Spanish translation available. If you click the More button and the globe icon, you can go in and do that.
Buenas noches, bienvenidos a todos a la reunión de la comunidad del municipio de Santa Mónica. Vamos a tener servicios de interpretación al idioma español. Para poder acceder a este servicio, van a encontrar en la parte inferior de la pantalla de la computadora un icono en forma de globo terráqueo. Por favor, hagan clic en el globo y van a encontrar la alternativa de inglés y español. Escojan español y estaremos brindando en ese canal los servicios de interpretación simultánea. Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us for tonight's fire recovery virtual town hall. I'm Lana Negrete, the mayor of Santa Monica. And on behalf of the entire city council, I just want to express our heartfelt gratitude to each of you for being here as we navigate these challenging times together. I know it's been quite a road. Our city has been profoundly impacted by the recent Palisades Fire. And while the flames did not directly reach Santa Monica structures, the effects have been deeply felt throughout our community in other ways. Many of our neighbors in Pacific Palisades have lost their homes, entire neighborhoods and communities to this devastating event. And the city council and the entire Santa Monica community have been standing in solidarity with them, and we are committed to supporting their recovery in any way that we can. As we know, the economic repercussions here in Santa Monica have also been significant. Our local businesses have faced severe financial burdens and hardships due to evacuations, road closures, and environmental concerns, and personal impacts as business owners who have lived in the Palisades, some of which have lost their homes as well. Many have reported immediate revenue drops, dealing a staggering blow to our local economy. As a small business owner myself, I understand firsthand the immense challenges that come with such unexpected disruptions. It's not just about the immediate loss of income, it's also about the uncertainty of what tomorrow holds and the resilience that is required to rebuild. So, tonight's town hall is designated to provide you with essential information specific to Santa Monica and resources to aid in recovery. We'll cover assistance programs available for both individuals and businesses, ensuring that everyone has access to the support that they need. And we're also joined by representatives from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health and Water Quality Board, who will address what I know everyone has been wanting to hear about, any health or environmental concerns that you may have. I want to take a moment and thank Mark McCallman, Intergovernmental Affairs Specialist with FEMA, for helping to organize tonight's event, and Mark also just for being so accessible to me as an elected leader who's been a little bug in your ear since the fire started. So thank you so much for being accessible. In just a moment, I will turn it over to him to get us started. But before I do, I really want to emphasize that our city's resilience is rooted in compassion and determination of its people. And I truly believe that together, Santa Monica, we will get through this. We will support our neighbors. We will stand by our local businesses, and we will restore the vibrancy of our city. Thank you again for your participation. Thank you to Lindsay Call, who's on here, to everybody from the Santa Monica staff. We have economic development and all the folks who are going to announce themselves. Thank you for your participation, community, and the commitment to our community. We hope that you find tonight's webinar useful. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight, and I will be on here, but I'm turning it over to Paul.
I'll play MC. Good evening,
Okay.
everybody. Lindsay Call, Santa Monica OEM. So next, Mark with FEMA, if you can introduce our federal partners, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Lindsay. And Mayor, it's an honor to support your recovery in the whole region through our federal partners. We've got two subject matter experts here tonight with us. We have Robin Young from Individual Assistance, and we also have Corey, who is with the Small Business Administration. So I'd like to turn it straight over to Robin Young to give a brief overview on FEMA's individual assistance programs for where we are at the moment. Robin?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having us here tonight. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. Through the individual and household programs, the federal assistance is available to support individuals and families who have been impacted by the wildfires and are uninsured or underinsured. To be eligible for any of the federal assistance through the FEMA programs, applicants must meet the following general conditions: be a U.S. citizen, a non-citizen national, or a qualified alien. You must be able to verify your identity. The assistance they've received through insurance or other forms of disaster support does not fully meet the needs to recover, and the expenses and serious needs they are facing must be directly caused by the declared disaster event. The first step in applying for assistance is to register, and you can do this in several different ways. You can call 800-621-3362, or you can register online by visiting disasterassistance.gov for government. Through the disaster assistance survivor staff that are in the field. And the last way that you can do this is the in-person opportunities that you have here at the disaster recovery centers, the DRCs. The City of Los Angeles has a disaster recovery center at UCLA Research Center West at 10850 West Pico Boulevard, Los Angeles, or the City of Altadena, 540 West Woodbury Road, Altadena. So after you've registered, a FEMA inspector may reach out and schedule an appointment to assess the damage to your home. If you have insurance, please note that FEMA may not contact you for an inspection right away. They will likely wait until you submit the necessary insurance documents, such as your insurance settlement denial or declarations. These can be uploaded through your account through your registration process at disasterassistance.gov or submitted in person when you visit the disaster recovery centers. After the inspection, you'll receive a decision letter. It is very important to carefully review this letter. FEMA may ask for additional information to continue processing your case. So please read the entire letter. And sometimes I like to advise, read it from the bottom up to make sure that you capture everything in the letter. So even if you are insured, don't hesitate to complete your FEMA application. Both insurance claims and FEMA assistance can be completed at the same time. If your insurance doesn't cover all of your needs, FEMA may be able to provide additional assistance. FEMA's individual assistance program offers two main types of assistance: housing assistance, which can help with lodging expenses, rental assistance, repair, and replacement assistance. Other needs assistance includes help for personal property, transportation, displacement, medication and dental cost, funeral expenses, and moving and storage assistance. Applicants may be eligible for up to $43,600 in housing assistance, as well as another $43,600 for other needs assistance, commonly referred to as ONA. Please note that rental assistance and lodging reimbursement do not count towards the maximum grant amount. If you've already received displacement assistance but still have housing needs, please reach out to FEMA or visit the nearest DRC. We're here to support you. And finally, if you've already applied, we encourage you to stay in contact with FEMA, as our team is here to assist you throughout the recovery journey. Thank you again for allowing us to be a part of your recovery process. We're here to help support the state and all the individuals impacted by this disaster. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
I just want to say, sorry, Corey, I just want to say thank you, Robin, and that application deadline of March the 10th is particularly important. Thanks for pointing that out in the chat. And Corey Williams, Public Information Officer, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you, Mayor Negretti, for allowing me to present to Santa Monica and your citizens. And first off, my heart goes out to those that were impacted by these devastating fires. My name is Corey Williams, Public Information Officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. And for SBA's disaster loan programs, SBA offers low-interest loans to businesses of all sizes, nonprofits, homeowners, and renters not covered by insurance or other recovery funds. Now, for this particular declaration, the incident period is January 7th through the 31st. And just like FEMA, our physical damage deadline is March 10th, 2025. Now, the economic injury deadline is October 8th, 2025. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit in a second. Now, for interest rates for our homeowners and renters is as low as 2.563%, and for businesses as low as 4%, and for our nonprofit organizations, it's fixed at 3.625%. Again, it's no cost to apply, no prepayment penalties, and even if you're approved for the SBA loan, there's no obligation to take the funds. And keep in mind that the first payment is not due until 1 calendar year, and that there is no interest accrual for the entire first year. Now, kind of mentioning, going back to the economic injury, and as Mayor Negretti kind of mentioned, there's a number of Santa Monica business owners who may not have suffered physical damage, but they are still suffering economic injury. And my message, along with my fellow PIO Chandler Weber, who's on this this webinar as well, is that economic injury actually started January 7th when the fires hit. You know, there were drops in sales. There may have been canceled events, or, you know, for our nonprofit organizations that plan for events, you know, months and sometimes years in advance. When those events get canceled, suspended, or postponed, that creates an immediate economic injury to that nonprofit organization. Or if there's some contracts that a business has, as far as, you know, accounts payable that, you know, were running, you know, at the same time of the fires, and now they're getting pushed back because of the, you know, because of the fires. Well, again, that creates that economic injury. And one of the things that I've seen so many times in my 19 years with SBA is that businesses will wait until July or August or September, and they'll realize, well, Corey, I've had drops in sales for the last 6 months, or we had this huge event that ended up getting canceled or postponed 3 or 4 months later. You can always see, you know, a building on fire. You can see water in a building. But the one thing that I really want to resonate today is that economic injury, you don't have to wait until the latter months, even though the deadline is October 8th. And then for the business and nonprofits who may need that infusion of capital, they can also do the unsecured $25,000 for the physical loss and an unsecured $25,000 for the economic injury, and that's an unsecured loan. So then maybe down the road, let's say in June or July, they decide they need more capital, they can come back and request increase in loan amount for up to 2 years. So I just want to make sure that for the Santa Monica businesses, to encourage that messaging that they can start their economic recovery immediately rather than wait until July, August, or September. So who can apply for an SBA disaster loan? Businesses of all sizes, of course, but a lot of people don't realize that the largest source of our lending during disaster is to homeowners and renters. In fact, of our 1.14 billion in approvals, a little bit over $1 billion of that is to homeowners and renters. Now, you must be located in the declared disaster area, which is Los Angeles County. However, for those businesses or nonprofits that suffered economic injury only, and those counties are Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura. Again, I'm going to repeat: Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura. They're eligible for the economic injury. But if you have any physical injury, that deadline to apply is March 10th, 2025, the same as FEMA. Now, for renters can borrow up to $100,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged personal property, which would include vehicles. And this also covers insurance deductibles, which the SBA considers as uninsured or underinsured. And then homeowners can borrow up to $500,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged real estate, and up to $100,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged personal property, which would include vehicles as well. And also, we cover insurance deductibles, and funds can be used for debris removal and relocation and refinance on a case-by-case basis. Now, businesses and nonprofits can borrow up to $2 million to repair, replace disaster damaged real estate, machinery, inventory, and equipment. But again, the biggest thing that I emphasize for our Santa Monica businesses as well as nonprofits is the need for working capital to meet those operating expenses such as payroll, monthly lease obligations, monthly mortgage obligations, paying your accounts payable. It's so critical that you start that recovery with the economic injury disaster loan earlier rather than later. Now, one of the things that SBA has, incorporated is that now we offer up to 20% of the total loss for mitigative measures for all perils. So for business loans, the cap is $2 million, which encompasses real estate repair, replacement, machinery, inventory, and equipment, as well as working capital. For home loans, the cap is $500,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged real estate, and for personal property, up to $100,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged personal property, and for renters, it's up to $100,000 to repair, replace personal property, which would include vehicles. Interest rates for business as low as 4%. Interest rates for nonprofits fixed at 3.625, and homeowners and renters as low as 2.563%. Now, keep in mind, you have up to 20% of the verified physical damage up to a cap of $500,000, additional $500,000 for homeowners for mitigative measures. Now, we have customer service representatives that are staffed in all the disaster recovery centers alongside FEMA under the same operating hours. And our customer service representatives answer all loan program questions, explain the application process, and assist with the completion of the application, and also assist with loan reconsideration or reconsideration. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and I'll pass it on to the next person.
Okay, Josh can. So our next panelist will be Katrina Palomar from Cal OES. There are many, many different response agencies that are part of this operation for the Palisades Fire. And so we're thankful to hear from our federal representatives, but also just want to touch on some of the resources that are available at the state level, again, where you can access all of this alphabet soup and all of the different agencies. And so Katrina, I'll let you take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And thank you for having us here tonight. Again, my name is Katrina Palomar. I'm with California Office of Emergency Services. And I wanted to mention just a couple things here for you guys. I can't encourage enough for you guys to apply for our federal grants that were here that were already discussed, FEMA and SBA. I know a lot of individuals, 6 months, 9 months down the line, they find out that they're underinsured or their insurance doesn't pay for certain items. So I really encourage you to apply for FEMA apply for SBA. You don't have to take the funds from SBA. Again, 6 months, 9 months down the line after the deadline, you don't want to find out that you're short on any of those areas. For insurance, also mentioned the insurance piece there, please respond to the insurance part of FEMA's request letters. It's really important. Provide the documents. Again, you might be underinsured if you have any problems. The State Department of Insurance is available at the disaster recovery centers. You can call their office. If you have any, for when you're hiring contractors, we have the Contractors Licensing Board over at the disaster recovery centers, and they also too are there as a source to vet any licenses for any contractors that are out there in your communities. I did also want to mention there's one program that the state of California has to help their constituents, and it only comes in when there's a FEMA Individual Assistance Program declaration, and it's called the State Supplemental Grant Program. And so therefore, as Robin had mentioned, she was talking about the max grant being $43,600 for housing assistance and for other needs assistance. So most times, if your home's destroyed and you're a homeowner, you will get that max, the $43,600 if you're eligible. And FEMA automatically refers your case over to our Department of Social Services, who administers this grant. And they look at your unmet needs, and you can get up to an additional $10,000. There's no separate application or anything. You'll get a phone call. They'll verify your address to be sure that they're going to mail the check to the correct home. I also did want to mention that there's a couple of other community programs that weren't mentioned that are free, whether or not you apply for FEMA or not. And those are some of the community service programs. And there's the crisis counseling program that's out there. They should be in the disaster recovery centers. They're out there in the communities. And there's also a disaster case management, which is your long-term recovery. You can go ahead, there's QR codes in our brochures that are at the disaster recovery centers and also online. And you can sign up for disaster case management, and they will walk you through this process the next couple of years. And then there's also the disaster legal services. And I'll see if I can try to figure out how to put the flyer in. The flyers just came out today. It's been a program that's been available, and it's free legal services for the survivors for this disaster. And so I encourage you, if you're having any rental problems or anything like that, that you contact them for some legal services where they can help you. That's all I have. Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you again. Josh, if you could spotlight me, and then just really do want to encourage everybody to go to the Disaster Resource Center. The closest one to the west side is at the UCLA Research Park, also known for those of us who've been in LA for a long time, also known as the West Side Pavilions Mall, or formerly known as that. Again, it's a one-stop shop for folks to go to get connected to all of the different agencies and learn more about them. So thank you so much for that. Want to stress a reminder really fast while Jennifer Taylor turns on her camera. We have a lot of great questions that the folks have submitted via the chat. Unfortunately, our panelists can't see them when they are in the chat area. You have to click the Q&A button on the bottom of your Zoom meeting and put your question in there. Our panelists will do our best to answer those questions via the Q&A, and then we'll be referring to those as well as the ones that have been submitted before the meeting. We will use those and answer them after the presentations. Okay, Jennifer, turning it to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hello, my name's Jennifer Taylor. I'm the Economic Development Manager here at the City of Santa Monica. We've been working really closely with our businesses throughout the wildfires and beyond, and also working closely with a number of businesses that have been impacted in the Palisades and Malibu as well. I just wanted to add some additional resources in addition to the great ones that the Small Business Administration has covered for all the different loans that they have available for our businesses. We've partnered with the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce. They're offering a free business clinic, which is every week, Monday through Wednesday from 9 to 5 p.m. Their offices are located at 2025 Main Street here in Santa Monica. And this gives people an opportunity to speak one-on-one with an SBA business advisor. They can help both businesses as well as homeowners, renters that have questions and need help filling out forms for loans and other assistance. So it's a great resource and it's free. In addition, we're putting together some in-person workshops. We know how important it is to be able to talk to someone one-on-one and face-to-face. Next Tuesday night, March 4th, we have a Santa Monica Women Entrepreneur panel and also a business resource fair. It will be held at the Santa Monica Main Library and the MLK Junior Auditorium from 4:30 to 7 p.m. It allows for plenty of time for networking. It will feature our mayor on the panel, Lana Negretti, who is a small business owner here in Santa Monica, as well as many of you probably know Laurel Rosen, who is our former CEO of the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce and also is a small business owner in a number of other businesses just to help to celebrate Women's History Month and also entrepreneur and business resource. So SBA partners, I will be there, our chamber will be there, Santa Monica Travel Tourism and other partners with resources. We have, and I'll put in the chat on our city website homepage, we have a whole section dedicated to Palisades Fire relief for businesses. We've been tracking all kinds of programs. So in addition to what Corey talked about from the SBA, LA County has a wide array. They have grants available for businesses. They have grants available for workers who've been impacted by the fires. And then just today, they released grants for households, a household relief fund for up to $18,000. We have all those links on our website. For our restaurants, many who've been impacted continue to be impacted. We have on the website, Restaurant Care has grants available for food and beverage workers. Hello Alice has a restaurant disaster fund. So lots of good resources. And then lastly, I just want to say that, my team and our economic development, we're here to help with anyone who needs advice, support, especially with businesses. If you're looking to relocate into Santa Monica, even if it's just temporary, we are here to help. We are in touch with our business improvement districts, with our commercial property owners. So you can call our team. I'll put it in the chat or email us, economic development team, and we'll be here to help provide advice. We've also been working with schools from the Palisades who have relocated here to Santa Monica and to some of our commercial office spaces. So we're here as a resource, and I will be quiet and just listen if there's any questions or things I can help in at the end. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Jennifer. I just want to give a special shout out to Jennifer Taylor, who from the very start of the incident served as our Emergency Operations Center business liaison and has just been leaning forward and not only supporting our local businesses and being such a strong voice for them in the recovery process and related to those economic injury concerns, but also just bending over backwards to support our neighbors to the north and making sure that those schools and the businesses that are trying to reopen have a home and have a community here in Santa Monica. So just kudos to her and what she's doing. I am up next. I am just going to take everybody on a little tour of the different websites and resources that are available related to environmental health. As I said before, there are a lot of different agencies involved in the recovery, and environmental health and public health is no different. My background, so I serve as the Chief Resilience Officer for Office of Emergency Management. I was the Emergency Operations Center Director for the Palisades incident, as well as COVID and all the other incidents we've had in the last so many years. But my background is public health, and have served for LA County Public Health. And so I hear and understand a lot of the concerns that have been voiced in the last few weeks, especially and after the fire incident. So I just want to walk you through what resources we have, and then we will have our panelist, Dr. Nicole Quick with LA County Department of Public Health, Jenny Newman from LA Regional Water Quality Control Board, and Carol Baker with Los Angeles County Beaches and Harbors are also all available. They have incredible expertise in the different areas. And so I know there are a lot of questions on the Q&A about different environmental health concerns. And so they will be available there to answer your specific questions. So don't worry, I'm just glossing over things so you can access the resource after the fact, but they will be here to answer some of your specific questions. Okay, so first, what is Santa Monica's scope in environmental health issues? So Los Angeles County Department of Public Health is our public health authority and environmental health authority. We seek guidance and direction from LA County Public Health on these types of concerns, very similar to COVID-19. City of Santa Monica does not have its own health department. So what we do with our own city personnel and resources is we actively coordinate with the experts and agencies that are leading the public health and environmental health work for the Palisades Fire response. And then we work to obtain that information and disseminate it so you get trusted, accurate information on environmental health impacts and monitoring. We advocate for good environmental activities that support our recovery, especially business recovery that is focused on tourism and beach recreational activities. And then we also make operational decisions to make sure that we are doing things in a safe way for Santa Monica, including our own city staff. So that is how we use this information. So what is your good starting point? So if you go to the city's website, santamonica.gov, we have a specific website that's focused on the Palisades Fire. This has a lot of our local recovery resources, some that Jennifer just touched on, our local emergency order, but it also has these two great buttons. So first is the LA County Recovery Resources. That's again, a place with all this information so you can easily access it. And then the second bit is this environmental health advisories and testing tab. We have tried to gather the really important websites that have all of this good environmental health information, practices, data, and have tried to consolidate it and post it there so it's easily accessible for residents. So again, recovery.lacounty.gov is an excellent starting point for questions, especially related to debris removal, recovery resources, paperwork needed. It covers both the Eden and Palisades Fire, as I know we all have loved ones, family, friends who have been impacted by both of the fires. So make sure you advocate that they are using this website as they continue on their recovery journey. Next up is LA County Department of Public Health's website. They have a specific page for fire safety and health information. It provides the current health advisories. It has a really great new assessment plan button that you can go to. I'll detail that next slide. FAQs, resources, things like that. Also really want to do a shout out to DPH's YouTube town hall from last week, where they had every single expert go through soil sampling, water sampling, all of the different testing that the different agencies are doing to really improve transparency. So highly recommend everyone check that out. One great addition to the DPH website is this post-fire air, soil, and water assessment plan. It has different who is doing what testing. Again, lots of different acronyms, general locations of where they are doing that testing, and it also provides a way for those agencies to post results and provide more information. I know that they are building this out, but it's going to be a really excellent way for folks to get everything from coastal sand information to outdoor soil, air quality. Again, trying to simplify things and make it more accessible and transparent. Okay, next up, ocean and beach conditions. This has been a very hot topic. It involves many different agencies. So LA County Department of Public Health, LA County Beaches and Harbors, LA County or LA Regional Water Quality Control Board. One fantastic website that we are recommending is Beaches and Harbors has put together in coordination with all of the other agencies, has put together a really great website explaining some of the conditions that we've seen on our beaches post-wildfire. So answering questions like, what is the sediment that is on the beach, the darker colored sand material that is on the beach, what should I be concerned about pieces of debris that are coming along the beach that may be related to fire. So really great resources there. It is a button on our Santa Monica Palisades website, Palisades Fire website. And so again, excellent resource and hopefully a place to learn more information. Another great resource is we've gotten lots of questions about water quality testing and different warnings or advisories that have been issued. If you go to the DPH Beach Water Quality Advisory page, publichealth.lacounty.gov, I think, /beach, it will give you the different grades, the locations that they're monitoring, and what specific advisory or warning is in place. This is good not only for post-wildfire conditions, but also even rain advisories, as that often happens with post-storm debris. So great information there. Again, all available on our local Palisades Fire website. Okay. We've also gotten questions, and understandably, about the LADWP water quality notice. So there is good news. It was lifted for the 3 Santa Monica streets yesterday that were in the northern part of the city. This map on your screen is the most updated map as of yesterday. Their website also has bottled water distribution sites, and it has a really great restoration progress dashboard, which I'll show next slide. That's a new addition and really helps explain the process of the different steps that LADWP has taken to ensure water quality and safety. So again, this is the new LADWP water quality restoration dashboard. Shows the different steps to restore water in the areas impacted by the Palisades Fire. Santa Monica is the 3 streets, only 3, that are impacted by were impacted by the LADWP do not drink notice, are in the 5 to 9 zone. And so again, you can review this story map and dashboard and really dive into what the process is and get more information about a specific zone and a specific location. Great ad. Okay, moving on. Tour guide. And moving on, we've got air quality. So South Coast AQMD provides all air quality testing and information. They have a great website, aqmd.gov/2025-wildfire-response. Really has interesting data on that website where you can see the testing results. You can see what the baseline measurements are and really dive into mobile testing and stationary testing that is being done in the fire zone. So if you have not checked that out and you have specific air quality concerns, it's a good place to start. Okay. Another topic that we've gotten questions about is federal and private wildfire debris removal. So again, collectively, we want to make sure that we are starting the recovery process in the burn areas, allowing residents to access properties, that other debris removal can happen so residents can begin rebuilding or determining what their next steps are. So the good news is phase one, which is the EPA hazardous materials removal process, is very near completion. So the stats are 2 days old and they made a lot of progress, but they, as of Monday, when I gave the same lecture to Sustainability Commission, they only had 7% of commercial parcels pending for their review and removal, and less than 1% of residential parcels pending. Once that work is completed, it will move into phase two, which is either done by private contractors if the homeowner wants to pay themselves, or by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineering will begin their debris removal process. Again, on the LA County Recovery website, there is a big section on debris removal, and it goes through the steps, step by step, and it gives you the links for both EPA and Army Corps of Engineers. All of their websites, they have very detailed maps, very detailed dashboards, which I'll show a glimpse of, that you can really go in and understand their process, see pictures of what the types of work they do, again, to build in that transparency. So this is the most recent EPA story map. They have made incredible progress. I had to update this map this afternoon because they had even gotten more work done. Blue and purple is really good. So that means that they're either they have completed phase one and they have removed any of the hazardous materials identified on the parcel, or they deferred it to phase two and didn't find anything that needed to be removed. So really good signs there. The faster this work is done, the faster that the EPA will be moving into a demobilization mode of their hazardous material staging locations. I know Will Rogers Beach is a concern and the activities occurring there are a concern, but it does look like very, very promising that the EPA is getting their work done, getting hazardous materials off these sites so that they're not a concern when it rains and washing into the ocean, that they're secured and transported out of this region so that rebuilding and recovery can resume. Army Corps of Engineers has their own dashboard, own website, again, so you can do a deep dive into these processes. This is their storyboard about the different parcels that are eligible. You have, for homeowners who want to engage the Corps in the debris removal process, they have to fill out a ROE, rights of entry form. So how many have they received? How many are in queue with contractors? And all of this information is publicly available. You don't have to be an emergency manager. They also have a debris call center that's available where you can get information specifically and have your questions answered. So highly recommend you use that. We're all working together and learning more about the phase 2 process, but they have been a great partner so far. Okay, so that ends my hopefully not so boring spiel. Again, it is very complicated on who is doing what. And so we are trying to make it as easy as possible, putting really good resources that you saw tonight on our santamonica.gov Palisades Fire website. And that way, as things continue, progress, things change, you'll know where to go if you continue to have questions. Okay, and with that, we'll move to the Q&A portion, if possible. So let me pull up my handy dandy form. And we have Dr. Quick, Jenny Newman, and Carol Baker spotlighted. So because we did get a lot of questions about health concerns, beach health, things like that. And so I know you guys are the VIPs and folks want to hear from you. So first question, Dr. Quick. So right now we have a fire-related ocean water advisory for some beaches from Las Flores State Beach to Santa Monica State Beach, just north of us. And then a non-fire related beach warning for Santa Monica beaches, including some of our storm drain areas. This is a two-part question. Can you describe your process for issuing those types of warnings and advisories and why you do it? And then also, what's the difference between the fire-related, the non-fire-related? And then do we have to do anything special as a city for cleanup procedures related to that?
Yeah, great question, because it can be a little bit confusing. And so let me go through the general, what DPH generally does for ocean water. And essentially what the Department of Public Health does is monitoring related to bacteria. And so some of the advisories right now, and that was a great overview of resources out there, including the DPH page. And so just to be aware, we have an interactive map on there that shows you which beaches have advisories in place. You can click on each of those little dots on there that are color coded to get up-to-date information. Some of the closures right now advisories are related to bacteria. So we routinely sample for bacteria in the ocean. If there's an elevation in that, we issue advisories instructing, individuals to take precautions related to that. That's part of our normal process. We also have normal advisories that go out after rain. So anytime there's rain events, we know that things wash into the ocean, and we often, it's often things that you don't want to be swimming in. And so those rain advisories go for 72 hours after rain events, and looks like we're going to be getting rain in the near future as well. Those are very different. I wouldn't say very different, but a different process than the ocean debris fire advisory right now. As this fire took place and the aftermath of that, looking at potential impact of fire advisory related to fire debris. And the reason why we have that in place is we do know that fire debris is making its way into the ocean, and public health continues to warn folks of the potential hazards related to fire debris, ash and soot, whether that's on land, beach, or ocean. And so that advisory is also in place. You may see changes in as we clear the ocean from the bacterial ones, because the testing continues, and once that's clear, those will be lifted. That fire debris related advisory is going to stay in place as we gather more information for that. And then Lindsay, I think you had a second part of the question, and if you remind me what that is, I'll answer, or we can come back to it.
So when those either, especially with the fire related advisory, right? Well, it's north of Santa Monica, more focused on the burn areas, I think. And then I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation. And but are there any special types of cleaning procedures that we have to implement when we do have that wildfire advisory for the ocean waters or for the beaches?
Yeah, so as far as the actual beach cleanup component, I'm not going to speak to cleanup on actual beaches. What I will say from public health's perspective is we just want people to avoid both, in neighborhoods and affected burn areas, beaches, in water. If you see fire debris, you don't want to be, coming in contact with that debris, wherever it is.
No, that's great. And I'm sure our other two panelists have information as well. Jenny, just testing of ocean water, sand, sediment has been underway since the wildfires started by your agency, by DPH. What's the current procedure for testing ocean water, sediment, and sand? And then how are those tests evaluated? And then what's kind of the process going to be of sharing those results in those locations with the public?
Okay.
Lots of questions. Sorry,
Lots
all
of
at
questions.
once.
That's okay. You organize them so they're easy to respond to, as long as I remember each one. So the Regional Water Quality Control Board has been sampling ocean water quality with LA County Department of Public Health since January 22nd. So we sampled January 22nd, January 27th, February 6th, and February 18th. And so January 22nd was after the fire started, but before the first rain. January 22nd or 7th was, after the first rain. The February 6th event was after that second rain. And then the February 18th event was a few days after the most recent rain. And the way it works is LA County Public Health staff who are already out there doing their regular beach water sampling collect additional water and are sending it to our lab. And our lab's analyzing it for fire-specific chemicals. So we're looking at metals, polyaromatic hydrocarbons or PAHs, polychlorinated biphenyls or PCBs, nutrients, and other minerals that are associated with fire runoff. And let's see, we take those results and we compare them against water quality objectives. We have water quality objectives for the protection of aquatic life and water quality objectives for the protection of human health. Those are laid out in our ocean plan for California and in our water quality control plan for Los Angeles. And for this effort, we focused on the human health-based ones. There actually aren't, there aren't human health-based objectives for some of the constituents. So for those, for ocean water, for those, we compared them against drinking water standards. So very strict standard. So what we saw was elevated levels of metals and PAHs, which is what we would expect to see after a fire. There were exceedances of the human health objectives for some of the PAHs at some of the sites, and also some of the metals exceeded the human health water quality objectives at some of the sites. The metals were more naturally occurring metals like selenium, arsenic, magnesium and iron. So that was expected. And then on February 6th in particular, we just recently got those results back, and there were exceedances of the human health water quality objectives for lead and nickel at just the Topanga site. And so we're going to get the results back from our February 18th sampling event soon. We might already have them, and I just don't know because they haven't been QA/QC'd and I haven't seen them yet from staff 100% correct yet, but not correct, but quality checked yet. But as soon as they're available, we'll let everyone know. All the results are publicly available. They're public records. We just haven't got them up on our website yet. We're working with that. We're working to do that. What else can I say about those results? So we take those results, we talk about them with public health, and we made decisions to keep those beach advisories in place. Let's see. One thing I wanted to point out, though, well, they because there's a lag in the data when we take the sample and then when we get the results, we're just advising people to just constantly check the public health website beach advisory page and look at signs and follow the directions from public health to be careful. And then so that's all of our water quality sampling at the beach. The other kind of sampling we're doing is sand/sediment sampling. So we just started that. So we haven't done that yet. We just started yesterday, went out and collected samples from 10 beaches and 4 creek or storm drain outfalls from Zuma Beach down to right after Torrance Beach. They're spread out, and we are collecting the dark sand in the wave wash that Beaches and Harbors has been reporting to us where they're seeing it and where they'd like us to test. And so that's where we're going out and testing. We did our own reconnaissance as well. So that's in the sand. And then I said we also are sampling at creek and storm drain outfalls. So people may have noticed after the rain, the sediment and debris flowing through the storm drains onto the beach. And so we're sampling some representative storm drains to get an idea of what that looks like. We're sampling, well, first of all, we're sampling Topanga Lagoon and Santa Monica Canyon outfall, because those are right in the burn areas. We're also sampling it's either Wilshire or Montana storm drain outfall in Santa Monica. I can't remember which one. And then we are sampling the Rose Avenue storm drain in Venice Beach because there was a lot of sediment and debris reported in those storm drains. So again, as soon as those results are available, we'll share them out with the community that we've been working with. But we'll also get them posted on our website as soon as that's up and ready.
Thank you. And we had some there were reports that like preliminary results of the sediment was not deemed not hazardous to human health. Was there an initial test of the sediment completed by any of the agencies, or?
I can speak as far as I know, unless Beaches and Harbors are okay. So I know that the county conducted sampling just of the sediment at the Santa Monica Canyon outfall onto Will Rogers State Beach and Topanga Lagoon. And they did that after that first rain event, when the debris first came down. They wanted to assess that, and so that's the preliminary results that people are talking about, is for that date for those 2 spots.
But sediment and sand testing hasn't happened since we had that major flush and major storm. And so we're again continually retesting and reevaluating, shifting as we need to.
That's right.
And Carol and this and anybody else feel free to chime in, but we're in it together with maintaining our beaches and making sure that the public can enjoy them while protecting the public's safety. What your take on sediment and what you've been seeing across our county-wide beaches? Also, I mean, has been recent news about marine mammal health and concerns related to that. I know you've been doing some work with Marine Mammal Care Center. So, thoughts on the cleaning process for our beaches and what is natural and what needs to be done.
Sure, thank you. I think it's really, as we've had a lot of discussions about it, it depends on the situation, where the sediment is coming from, whether it's washing up from the ocean itself or from a creek. What is the nature of that, that sediment? Is it dark, silty matter, or are we talking about actual large pieces of debris? So from beaches and harbors, we maintain most of the beaches, although not Santa Monica, from Malibu to San Pedro. And we are seeing a lot of those big bulky items of debris that, timber, twisted metals, things like that, and truckloads that are being removed on a daily basis from Topanga, Will Rogers area. So that is obviously something that can be a risk to the public. You don't want to step on it, splinters, things like that. So that is our job, to remove pieces of debris, and we're doing that. But what was unusual was the kind of new charred sediment, and that's why we were really grateful to have that tested after the first flush. The first rain to hit that burn zone, and it was in areas that was closest to the burn zone, so there's not as much filtering. So the fact that it turned out to be the results that Jenny discussed now, so not deemed a threat to public health, was a relief. And we needed to have that information because getting that information would help inform how we dealt with that sediment, right? Because you don't always want to scrape things off a beach, because that destroys natural habitat for wildlife that lives there. And if there's no reason to do so, then it's counterproductive, right, for the marine environment. So having that testing is really important, because it informs our decision about, not only, how to remove whether the sediment needs to be removed, how to remove it, what kind of protective gear, what threat does it pose, also where to dispose of it, where will it go? Will it go to a regular landfill? Is it hazardous waste? So all of that is why the testing is so important. In addition to just, the public needs to know, to have that information as well, so that members of the public can make decisions for themselves. So you also asked about the Marine Mammal Care Center and the work that's being done right now with seals that have been impacted, are already falling ill to a domoic acid algae bloom that appears to be occurring at this time. And so I think a lot of folks will say this is happening concurrent with the wildfire runoff, but today, the Marine Mammal Care Center and their veterinarians, they had a news conference, and they sort of went over the fact that there is no causality, there is no causal link between the two. They do expect that if there was toxins, metals that are at a high level that could be toxic to marine mammals, that they would see that down the road, not a reaction like this. The algae bloom is caused by other factors, including the acidity levels, ocean temperatures, things like that. We've had them for the last couple of years. So they are saying that there is not a link, which was a relief to hear that. Can some of the organic matter that is part of the runoff, the vegetation that's burned, could that help fuel an algae bloom? Yes, but that's because they are fueled by organic matter. So the question was more about the toxic metals and whether that is having an impact, an immediate impact, and they are saying that it is not. So that was a relief, and we're just going to keep waiting for those test results to inform our decisions about how to manage the beaches as safely as possible for the public.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Quick, kind of a question for you. So, we're telling folks you can go play beach volleyball. We have very wide beaches in Santa Monica. Take a bike ride along oceanfront walk. We are encouraging folks to get outside and still enjoy the coastline while being cautious with and following the different ocean, water, and beach advisories and warnings. We're kind of hearing two different things. Like we're still testing. We just started sand testing, but we're saying, hey, we can engage in these types of activities. Is it safe to do kind of the beach related activities now? Even if we're still waiting on sand results, I'm assuming we're still acting in an abundance of caution as we're putting things out. And then also just like our long-term outlook, Santa Monica is so dependent on tourism that is focused on our beaches. And are we anticipating that the ocean will be open, safe, ready for visitors in either the spring or summer months, or are we still going to be kind of in that monitoring, testing, adaptive kind of phase?
Yeah, so let me try to answer some of these questions. And I think, the public health guidance, and I'll restate it, really holds true. We need folks to be aware of what sort of, whether that be, close to burn area at your home after a wind event, on the beach, so forth. Fire debris, ash and soot has the potential of having contaminants in it that can have a negative effect on human health. So in areas where there's fire debris on sand, we are cautioning people to be aware of that and kind of take that into consideration. And that applies to beaches as well as other, places. So that's, I think, question number one. The long-term question is a great one. So essentially, the priority amongst many of the agencies right now is to get that fire debris cleaned up and out of the neighborhoods. And until all of that happens, there is the potential of having fire debris going into our waterways and into the ocean when we have rain events. And so the long term, being able to predict right now how long that will, take is really hard. I think it's going to depend on weather conditions and how quickly that debris can get cleaned up. We will continue to engage in testing because we want to make sure that we have the latest up-to-date results so that we can advise people on what needs to happen for them to make, good determinations and decisions for themselves and their family. But the priority is to try to get that debris cleaned up so that it is no longer entering oceans and having this effect, because everybody wants, that debris cleaned up and away from human contact as well as the marine environment.
Great. Thank you so much. Let's switch gears and give our public health, environmental health folks, beaches folks a break. If possible, if I could ping, spotlight Mark, Corey, Katrina, Jennifer, and any of our kind of individual and business recovery folks, if possible. Appreciate and want to make sure that we're also mindful of folks with those needs. So one question that we've gotten, and apologies if I missed it in the presentation, but if we have, we know folks maybe who were providing a service to a family in the Palisades, let's say they're a gardener or a nanny or have some sort of occupation in that area. And because a home was destroyed, they've lost that portion of their income. Is there any type of assistance that is available for those people with that type of employment? And what would be the best way of going about looking at what disaster assistance is available?
So I did want to mention, I know Robin said that she might have to drop off here from FEMA, but there's the disaster unemployment assistance. And so that's one great benefit that we get with disasters for individual assistance that small business owners do not typically get, right? Like they don't usually get the unemployment assistance on a regular basis, but because of the disaster, they can go, they don't even have to apply for FEMA. It's a direct link to our California EDD office, and they can request for unemployment benefits. Um, and then also there's the FEMA has some new IA reforms, individual assistance reforms. They're new for us in California. It's our first disaster to have them. And they also help with some of the business equipment, right? Tools and such. They can, if you qualify for FEMA assistance, they can also help in that area now. Computers, tools, lawnmowers, those types of business expenses through the IA reform. I also know that SBA can help in that area too. But when it comes to actually unemployment, them being a self-sufficient, they're self-employed. They can get those benefits now through the EDD, the California EDD office.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, pretty much I would rather them see what is available to them via grant. That's like the disaster and employment assistance or any. I think LA County Recovers has some resources as well. Yeah, so I figured that's what I was going to back up with that. But other than that, I mean, yes, they could be eligible as a gig worker for our SBA loan programs, but probably the best resource would be, like Katrina mentioned, try to see about any grant programs since that may be a smaller amount.
And I just add to what you guys said. I will post in here. There's a great organization, Santa Monica based, called One Voice LA, which is providing support to individuals and workers, and particularly like, gardeners and housekeepers and people who have potentially, their livelihood has been severely impacted. So it's a great one. It's also a good one to donate to support. And I know I mentioned Restaurant Care. They have grants for food and beverage workers of $350 to $1,500 each. So that was on the city's website. So
I don't know if you have somebody here from the county, but yeah, Corey mentioned it, and I didn't mention it because I didn't know if you had somebody from the county on here, but there's also your guys' county economic, your Department of Economic Development that is giving grants out for employees in general, small business owners, private nonprofits. It's a nice sized grant, it sounds like, and it sounds like they're really trying to help your guys' communities in that way too.
So is the method to the madness, go to the disaster recovery center, figure out what is best for you, and kind of apply for everything and see where you land, including your insurance? Or if you apply for one program, does that and get a grant that way, does it disqualify you from others? Or is it depends?
Apply for all. Yeah, I would suggest apply for all. And we do, and EDD is also at the disaster recovery centers too, but you can also go online or call California EDD office. So you can do it online too, right? You don't necessarily need to go on there, but they are accepting applications. I believe, yes, they started accepting applications at the disaster recovery. The county did for those relief grants that they have starting today, I believe through March 12th. And yes, I would suggest apply, see if you do qualify. Because there's a lot of available opportunities. It's not going to make everybody whole, and we know that. So if you can get onto some of these other programs, that's your best bet.
A reminder, Ron put in our panelist chat, March 10th, circle it on your calendar as a big deadline day and make sure you don't wait to the last minute. meet with somebody, get those questions answered, use the FEMA telephone line if you need to, and get that application in so that you can begin the process with their process as well as the other resources that are available. And we, as a group, we all kind of have our collective experiences with disaster events and the long journey of recovery. A lot of folks are asking, well, how long is it going to take the Palisades Fire survivors to rebuild, recover, etc.? I have my answer too, but want to hear kind of if there are any lessons or life experiences that you've learned from past events on the people's journeys. And I'm happy to kick it off. I think I'll just chime in. From the debris removal side, for phase 2 debris removal, because there are so many different households and we have 2 major impact areas, right? This is not a single fire just focused on Palisades Fire, but also the Eden Fire in Altadena. Just making sure, it will take months to clean up the debris from all of those areas and making sure that that's done in a safe way. I also would note that out of the Woolsey fire, right, we have been through many wildfires in LA County before. And with the Woolsey fire, only 65% of homeowners decided to rebuild and have rebuilt today. So just that's something for consideration. But welcome everybody else's thoughts.
Well, I worked the Hill and Woolsey fires and the Thomas fire. The one thing I can assure you from the SBA perspective, we're in it for the long run. The deadline is March 10th, but we're still going to have staff in well beyond that March 10th area. We'll have our Business Recovery Center open in Santa Monica, the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce, as long as they'll have us. So that's the one thing I can assure you is that we're not just, March 10th hits and like, bye-bye, we're going to be staying and we're going to continue to service those impacted. So that's, at least from a SBA standpoint, that's what I can let you know.
A question about SBA that just came in hot via text from Mayor Negrete. Okay. So if a business had a PPP loan or has one in process, are there any special considerations? Can they borrow if they're still repaying the PPP loan? What's that process?
That's an outstanding question. As long as the PPP and what they say, when they're talking about is the Paycheck Protection Program, which is one of the 2 programs we had during COVID. We had the COVID EIDL and then we had the Paycheck Protection Program. So as long as they actually have their PPP loan in good standing, then they're eligible to apply for SBA. Now for the COVID EIDL, this is something that's really important for our Santa Monica business owners that may have an existing COVID EIDL. They can apply for a hardship application, which allows them to get up to 6 months to reduce their payments. And then also they can apply for the SBA loan and take advantage of the 12-month deferment and the 12-month zero interest. So if a Santa Monica business owner, or nonprofit wants to look into applying for the hardship program, they need to call the COVID EIDL Servicing Center, and they can go ahead and set that hardship waiver up. So that can also alleviate some of the financial stress that any of the Santa Monica businesses and surrounding areas may have.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I did want to touch a little bit. Okay, so I did want to touch a little bit, and I see Robin's on here, but I know she wasn't able to maybe unmute. So there is the long-term recovery groups that are being formed at this time, and these are your private nonprofits. There's volunteer builders. There's so many organizations that come from all over the United States that come in to help for fires, and this is a long process. That's why it's called long-term recovery. And we're talking years for some, depending on your insurance, depending on you being able to get contractors in to do the work And like you mentioned, let's say there's 2 different fires and they're big fires in the same area, right? Both of them in LA County. And we have seen, I've been doing this 27 years in California, and in these larger events, because of the volume of the need for contractors, it can sometimes take quite longer than most individuals would like it to happen. Depending on your insurance, are you underinsured? That's why we say, please apply for FEMA. Please apply for SBA, because I've heard way too many times in disasters, 9 months to a year later, I'm at, public meetings and you hear over and over, I don't have enough insurance. I thought I was covered. Please apply for these programs, because you just don't know what's going to come later on into this recovery process, because it does take some time for some of these things to occur. I'm not sure how long debris is going to, take for these areas. There's, again, how many homes are destroyed versus how many, contractors are out here doing the debris removal. There could be some hiccups, in the debris removal, in the rebuilding process. But what I can tell you is that the long-term recovery groups, they're going to be out there. They're forming right now. As they get together, they're going to be doing case management on individual households, and they will walk you through the whole process. They'll help you streamline. They'll help you get permits if you need help with doing that. But they're here also to help with even like furnishings. Like sometimes they come in and they do house in a box, and they can help with furnishings. But they're here for the very long term, just like Cal OES's and SBA and FEMA. We're not going to go anywhere. The deadline's going to happen March 10th, and we're just beginning recovery, and we know that. And so we're going to be here to help as long as it takes. But it is a process for every household. I feel it's individually, it's different. It's just a different process.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much. We've got 2 minutes left on this panel. So I think I just want to first acknowledge that we have so many unanswered questions that were provided to us. So what we're going to do as a city team is take a look at those. If we have an individual answer, we can get in contact with that individual and share the answer directly with you. We'll be taking that information and looking at where we can fill in the gaps with our FAQ on our website, or putting out a publication that way, or via email, SAMO News, social media, to really address some of the remaining concerns that our residents have. But we thank you, everybody, for your time today. Thanks to this entire panel. Mark, thank you for helping organize our federal speakers tonight. This is a full region, nation effort to really support our neighbors in the Palisades, in Malibu, in those in the Eden Fire, in Altadena, and Pasadena. And so we just really appreciate everyone's assistance and coordination, and it takes community as well. And so thank you for raising your voices tonight and sharing your feedback, so we can be better at our jobs in responding and getting information out to the public. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Bye.